Welcome to the Dyslexia Parent Academy. I am Melissa Beseda, the elementary dyslexia interventionist.
I'm Kandace Eubanks. I'm the dyslexia interventionist for our secondary campuses.
And we are going to go over some information from the Dyslexia Handbook.
So the state of Texas has specific dyslexia laws, and this is where our leadership and resources are found, and the guidelines we follow are outlined in this dyslexia handbook. We have two definitions for dyslexia. The first comes from the Texas Education Code, which defines dyslexia as a disorder of constitutional origin manifested by difficulty in learning to read, write, or spell, despite conventional instruction, adequate intelligence, and sociocultural opportunity. The International Dyslexia Association defines dyslexia in the following way. Dyslexia is a specific learning disability that is neurobiological in origin. It is characterized by difficulties with accurate and/or fluent word recognition and by poor spelling and decoding abilities. These difficulties typically result from a deficit in the phonological component of language that is often unexpected in relation to other cognitive abilities and the provision of effective classroom instruction. Secondary consequences may include problems in reading comprehension and reduced reading experience that can impede growth of vocabulary and background knowledge.
The characteristics of dyslexia for primary characteristics are reading words in isolation, accurately decoding unfamiliar words, oral reading, and spelling. Secondary consequences can be difficulty with aspects of reading comprehension, difficulty with the written language, and limited growth in vocabulary and background knowledge due to the reduced reading experiences. So reading words in isolation would just be reading individual words in a list. The decoding unfamiliar words would be reading a list of words that are nonsense words that the student would have to follow phonetic rules. And oral reading is given a text, how they read the text. Common risk factors for preschool, kindergarten, and first grade, and these are unexpected in relation to the student's age. So delay learning to talk, difficulty with rhyming, pronouncing words, basically baby talk, coming out of the baby talk phase, poor auditory memory, adding new vocabulary words, the inability to recall the right word, so having that word on the tip of your tongue, trouble learning and naming letters and numbers and remembering the letters in his or her name. Now note it says his or her name, not all 26 letters of the alphabet, and aversion to print. Now, for first grade, we come into those 26 letters of the alphabet. So breaking down words into smaller parts like syllables or individual sounds, identifying and manipulating sounds in syllables, so understanding that each word has individual sounds for the letters, remembering the names of letters and recalling their corresponding sounds, so that goes back into the 26 letters of the alphabet. Difficulty decoding single words or reading words in isolation, and difficulty spelling words the way they sound phonetically and remembering the sequence of the letters when spelling. For second and third grade and fourth through sixth grade, just remember these things are unexpected in relation to other students that are their age. So recognizing common sight words, decoding single words, difficulty recalling the correct sound for letters and letter patterns in reading, connecting speech sounds with appropriate letters or letter combinations, reading fluently, decoding unfamiliar words and sentences, relying on the pictures instead of the words on the page. We don't teach kids at this grade anymore to look at the pictures on the page to figure out what the sentence says. They need to rely on what they know and how to read, and difficulty with written expression. Fourth through sixth grade, they may have an aversion to or wanting to read aloud, avoiding reading altogether. They have difficulty with their reading fluency. So when they read, are they reading like a robot? Are they reading word to word? Or are they reading punctuation to capital letter? Decoding unfamiliar words and sentences, acquisition of vocabulary due to not reading, and relying on their listening skills instead of their reading comprehension skills.
Now moving into middle school and high school. So in addition to the behaviors we just described, some additional Risk factors include difficulty with the volume of reading and written work, frustration with the amount of time and energy required to do the work and the reading, difficulty reading fluently, difficulty decoding unfamiliar words and sentences using knowledge of phonics, difficulties with written assignments. They still typically avoid reading, especially for pleasure, and difficulty learning a foreign language. In post-secondary, when getting ready to go to college, some additional risk factors could be difficulty pronouncing names of people and places or parts of words, remembering names of people and places, again, the word retrieval, having difficulty with that, as well as spoken vocabulary, completing the reading demands of for multiple course requirements, difficulty with note-taking, written production, and also remembering sequences, especially in math and science formulas.
When it comes to the screener, a lot of younger parents understand that their student will be screened in kindergarten and first grade, and in second grade we do a reading diagnostic. These are the laws that are tied to those screeners and diagnostics. I need you to remember, though, that the screener is not an identification as dyslexia. It is an indicator that a student is struggling, and so we will take that information and determine if we need to give the student some extra assistance with intervention or if there needs to be further evaluation. The things that I look for in the two screeners for kindergarten and first grade. So for kindergarten, it's letter sound knowledge and naming letters fluently. So how fast can they go through the letters? Phonological awareness. So phonological awareness is only the sounds associated with words. It's not seeing letters and manipulating anything like that yet. They're just hearing things and rhyming and repeating. For first grade, it's reading words accurately and fluently, and then phonological awareness, and that's when they'll take a word and replace letters and break things into their individual sounds and be able to manipulate things more in depth. So teachers are trained to administer these screeners, and the teachers look for a lack of automaticity, difficulty sounding out words left to right, guessing, self-correcting, the inability to focus on reading, or if they are avoiding it altogether.
Now we're going to look at the components of dyslexia instruction. If a student is identified with dyslexia instruction, the intervention and the program we use are aligned with what is in the dyslexia handbook. So those include the critical evidence-based components, phonological awareness, sound symbol association, syllabication, orthography, morphology, syntax, reading comprehension, and reading fluency. Delivery of the dyslexia instruction is multisensory, it's systematic and cumulative, explicit, synthetic, analytic, and diagnostic to automaticity.
If you have any questions, you can email us or call the school, and we would love to assist you. Here is our information, our phone numbers, and our email addresses. If you need anything, just let us know. Thank you.
Thank you.